What's with this box of darts? Is it for a scientific argument?
A little darker than that. Rather for killing the kind of rodents that might nibble a nose or a toe in your sleep.
Let's just say I have to protect myself against a larger animal, such as an elephant. Might it be enough to stop it, make it faint?
If I were you, I wouldn't bank on it.
You have a weakness for nostalgia. Or, rather, do you use it to record a list of enemies?
Young man, you need to check your moral compass. Reading another person's diary is a sin in every culture that I can think of.
But you aren't answering the question.
You've already read it. Why bother? I simply record my life to keep my memory clean from misinterpretation. Letters and pages don't lie.
But the writer of the text can. With this book, you attempted to plan an attack on the elephant?
Your insinuations are out of place. Goliath is a frightening animal. All I wished to do was to understand the creature. As any scientist would do, I researched, analyzed, and drew conclusions.
And what conclusion did you draw?
That Theodore Gilded made the animal miserable. He couldn't provide the proper environment for the beast. My interest in the subject ended there.
Gilded's elephant is quite an unusual addition to Cordona's fauna. What is your scientific opinion on that?
No matter how much Theodore loved it, it still remained a wild animal trapped inside a stone pen. Goliath needs savannas, fields, lakes.
I'm sure that Goliath did not have a plan to kill his owner to head to the savannas. What do you think?
No, animals don't kill in a typical sense. I can only presume that it tried to protect itself from captivity, from Theodore. It was a gilded cage that was predestined to break.
Your partner had a very specific attitude towards the things he treasured. Was this habitual for him?
That would have been too much even for him. Don't get me wrong, he had a harsh temper. Like a true businessman, he was ready to burn his competitors to the ground.
But threatening someone physically would have been something new even for him, am I correct?
Absolutely. Besides, I had never seen him this angry. The fellow who received the letter must have been extremely alarmed.
As far as I can tell, you're a man of the academic world, so this book about Nabe and Laura is just an empirical study?
What? That nonsense? I'd prefer to lose my eyesight than read such trash.
So, you know nothing about it?
I know nothing. I wish I'd never heard of it in the first place, this caricature of science.
Do I hear traces of envy? You're still relatively young that you might find your own Laura.
Perhaps I envy Nabe, for I cannot simply blow people up for distracting me. That's all. You happy now? Wonderful.
Have you seen this person before? The one beside Imogen Gilded?
No, but he's with Imogen, so I suppose that he's a friend of hers. That girl always has her head in the clouds. I could have said Theodore was different, but that wouldn't have been entirely true.
Away with the fairies, was he?
That's one way of putting it. Either way, I don't know much about Imogen's life or her friends. The type of elite that pretends to be educated.
Remember one of the rules? It seems that you didn't return a tool. Is this knife yours?
Do I look like a fellow who carries a knife? I don't need it.
There are plenty of uses for it on the site, and outside of it.
I have other people to cut ropes for me, Mr. Holmes.
Did this plan cause a rift in your business relationship with Theodore Gilded?
Nothing like that. Admittedly, we didn't share a common vision of what is more important, the past or the future. In my opinion, we can't build a future without knowing the past.
So you wanted to save the tomb of Vitus here, or perhaps your control over the research?
Only the knowledge that rightly belongs to humankind, nothing less and nothing more.
What's with this intricate recruitment process? Pro-British workers charge less?
As a head of this organization, I need to secure a productive environment. It's impossible to do so if there are political differences, especially here, where the native population doesn't support our efforts to find the ancient artifacts.
Decent pay can also stimulate productivity and shut down any political discord. Hadn't you thought of that?
You're young. You have time to fritter and fight with everyone you meet. I don't have such a luxury. Our workers receive enough pay for what they do. So don't start a discussion you know nothing about.
Your fellow mariners have a strange way of showing hospitality.
They were not my friends.
Are you sure? I would rather risk my neck for someone who's at least honest and thankful.
Perhaps then don't enter someone's life and be so judgmental, pretending you're better than they are.
Then give me your perspective and allow me to see through your eyes. What were you doing this morning, Miss Perks?
Don't call me that. I'm a champion. I was sailing.
The other club members told me that you missed the race this morning. Do champions not need to practice?
You've talked with them already. No, I wasn't racing. I visited the doctor after that attack on me, and then I had to honor the deal with the bandits you just took care of.
I tried to tell you before, but your partners interrupted. Have you heard the news? Theodore Gilden is dead. Do you have anything to say?
Well, what a shock. To me, he was an angry old ogre. Good riddance. Was it Goliath that killed him? Did it crush him? Break his bones? Come on, tell me. I want all the details.
You have an unusual way of showing grief. Imogen wouldn't appreciate that. But yes, the animal could have been involved.
It's poetic in a way, isn't it? It takes a beast to kill a monster. I wish I could have been that elephant.
This business of yours, you should be more careful. Ruining your life at such a young age is ridiculous.
I am careful. Except for you, no one has noticed where I store the smuggled goods. If the police arrive, there's no link to me. It's common storage, not exclusively mine.
A charming picture. I've heard that champions do often pose with their trophies.
Cheeky. It is a lovely trophy, though. I'm sure you will agree.
What is it that you like most about her? Her naivety? Her father's money?
A somewhat difficult choice. Especially now that her father is out of the equation.
You smuggle illicit psychotropes on your yacht. Not a delivery for the hospital, I'm sure.
Of course not. I've had to cut corners to earn some money. How might a person afford to pay for a yacht in an honest way? I don't know, although I'm smart. The buyers are my customers. Adults who are willing to pay for their pleasure, or weapons for jewels. Whatever they want me to deliver. Nothing criminal.
Well, it's your lucky day. I'm not here because of smuggling. Have you tasted this tea yourself?
I wouldn't have been a champion if I had used it. It's just a side business that keeps my career afloat. It's quite expensive to compete in yachting. Sometimes I cut corners.
Such as fixing whirlpool yourself?
Exactly. And sometimes I just have to pay. That's how I earn money. I don't sell slaves or take the last man gear from a poor family.
Look what I found. A box full of darts.
Hey, that's mine.
I confiscated it. These darts appear to be filled with something. Poison? How powerful is it?
It's strychnine. Enough to instantly kill a small rodent. I haven't tried it on a human. Yet. I hope you know what you're doing.
Could it immobilize a larger animal, say, an elephant?
I've never tried, but I have wondered.
What can you tell me about the elephant?
He's smarter than some people here, including his owner. Although I feel he could be dangerous, no matter how much he's fed.
Why is that? Have you ever seen Goliath attack anyone?
Well, not exactly. But I saw it, abusing some poor tree during one of its walks with Theodore. The expression on that old ninny's face was priceless. But it wasn't funny to look at. Believe me. It was frightening.
It seems as though Theodore Gilden hung a sword of Damocles over your life and career. Were these only words, or something more serious?
Check my forearm. Pulled muscles and bruises. Small cuts. Nothing that you could call serious.
I doubt that a man in his late 50s could wrestle you.
It wasn't him. He behaved like a rat and hired brutes. His boys tried to lock my hands behind my back, but I was faster and I escaped.
Was he so protective of his daughter, or was it your feminine secret that provoked him?
My guess is that he was protecting his property. As he saw it, he owned Imogen, and he treated her like a piece of furniture. He didn't want his daughter to be loved by anyone. What's more painful is that Theodore didn't allow me to love his daughter. Typical.
I'm not sure that your relationship with Imogen could be described as typical.
Are you afraid of a woman in trousers? Now that's typical of men.
Does this knife seem familiar? I didn't find it in your competitor's back, to be clear.
This knife is as blunt as your humor. It's a bosun's knife, but it's not mine. I wouldn't be so careless as to mislay my tools.
Imogen doesn't strike me as an industrious young lady, so I find it strange that she was busy packing up all her belongings when Mr. Gilden died. That's some favourable wind in your sails, isn't it?
Is it so suspicious that a couple might embark on a trip? I wanted to thank her, so we planned to go travelling. A Theodore-free place, without elephants.
The timing of it is suspicious, however. Your lady friend becomes an orphan and heir, and there's a planned trip directly afterwards.
An improvised romantic dinner will never please a spoilt girl. A planned voyage might. It's not spur of the moment.
Between yachts, darts, and notes from bandits, I've discovered many fascinating facts about you. But this, an installment of Nabe and Laura's adventures, why did you sully your library with this?
It's a gift from Imogen. I didn't buy it. I might have turned a couple of pages, but nothing more. I swear.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt, but your literary taste has put you on my blacklist. A. Swift. Are you familiar with this name? The gentleman had business with Mr. Gilden.
Likely just another strange and wrinkled fellow like old Gilden was. Perhaps this Swift person has a rhino, and they wanted to see which pet was stronger. In other words, I don't know who he is, but I bet he's crazy like Theodore.
I doubt that Cortona has ever boasted a battle arena for that size of mammal. You have an interesting imagination. Are you aware that Paul smuggles drugs for a dangerous gang?
Mr. Holmes, I've already told you. I call him a pirate in play. He's not an actual pirate. He's a champion and a brave gentleman, not a thug.
Let us agree to disagree on that. But don't be surprised if one of his clients knocks on your door. Have you seen what your father sent to Paul?
This is despicable. My father was never a gentleman, but this crosses the line. I knew that father wasn't fond of Paul, but this is just awful. If only he could have seen how good Paulie is to me.
It might fool an elephant. This fabric will work.
Mrs. Nini seemed to know her sewing inside out. I bet she missed us.
I hope Miss Nini won't misunderstand me. Good day, madam. I've come to you with a special requirement. The tailors on the street can't help me, I'm afraid. Could you make a doll for me?
Oh, Signor Holmes. You taught the police how to do their job, and they found the thief. Of course I will help you. But what sort of doll? A child's doll, such as my great-niece might play with?
A little larger than your typical doll.
Signore, I don't understand. Boy, girl, animal, and what color?
Animal, a passionate, perhaps amorous animal.
Ah, Signore, you talk in riddles. I am an old lady who's seen it all. Tell me what you need.
I need a life-size elephant.
I think Mrs. Nini outdid herself with this one. Is that a tail?
That's a trunk, John, but I must agree with you that it's her masterpiece.
Well, let's not waste any time.
The game is on.
So, what's the plan? I hope it all doesn't go horribly wrong.
We know that the elephant is seeking a female. We can arrange that. A doll with the appropriate scent might do miracles.
So you're a marriage broker. Well, I suppose that makes me a groomsman. Oh, she is a bit breezy, I must say.
Well, Goliath is eager for a single female elephant in his area. It should be just enough for his taste. You'll need to trust me.
Are we ready? I can't stand the tension.
We're ready. Let's call the elephant.
How could anyone resist? I knew a lady once who said just that. Too bad I'm not an elephant. Take your time, Sherry. That deserves a slap. And then a kiss.
And here's our lovesick friend.
What is the meaning of this? Why are you bringing it here? I won't allow you to leave.
I assure you that it is only a temporary measure. It won't be long until the elephant is gone, I promise you. It injured itself while running through the forest. Peaceful and compliant, almost a gentleman. The left tusk is larger and more worn. You're a left-tusked elephant. There's something in the needle. There's something in the needle. A feathered fletching. This might be promising. You were right about Goliath. Everyone confirmed your opinion. They all agree that the beast is vicious. The animal wielded 2 tons of rage, and Mr. Gilden regrettably didn't stand a chance. The mating season only served to amplify its temper.
Oh, spare me. That's a little too much detail, thank you. What is the point of this conclusion? How do you plan to use your findings?
Miss Gilden, I know how much you dislike the elephant.
Rather more than dislike. I wish I could have done more to that wretch than just speak of it.
But it's innocent. Goliath did not intend to kill your father. It was provoked, scared, and in mating season. Your father took Goliath's normal state for granted, and in doing so made a mistake that caused the elephant to be aggressive.
Stop it! I already know the answer. I don't need your moral perspective on this situation. I don't know why you wasted your time. I actually did more than you.
Which involved what, Miss Gilden?
A man with a big wallet made an offer to take the elephant away. I accepted it. I was so naive, thinking that it was me who was so helpless. But you are useless too.
I am glad that the elephant is no longer of your concern, but I need to make sure.
I don't care, and I don't want to listen. Thought you wouldn't turn up.
Why is that? I suppose it's the English way to leave without saying goodbye, but I never planned to abandon you.
Because you brought the filthy beast here. Because you did nothing to ensure its proper punishment. I had to do everything, not you.
I was piecing together your father's murder.
There was nothing to piece together. I told you, it was Goliath. I never asked you to talk with anyone. I asked you to find the stupid animal.
Even if my efforts are invisible, that does not mean that I did nothing.
I don't have the strength to argue. These are my father's belongings. They're about your mother. Take them all and leave me be.
I won't waste your time any longer, Miss Gilden. Thank you for your help. My mother always wore this around her neck until one day it disappeared. I was wondering where it went. She said it was a birthday present from a good friend. I just had another glimpse of a memory, John. It's fuzzy, but I'm sure it happens somewhere in the manor.
Finally moving forward. Shall we go?
Ah, yes. We were sword fighting in this very spot.
And that time I was the winner.
So, as your victory prize, you asked me to fulfill a wish. I remember we did something the very next night, John, but what was it? We'd brought a cage with us. You insisted it must be made of iron.
That's because we were preparing to hunt fairies in our garden. Everyone knows iron is the only thing that can hold them.
And I was distinctly uncomfortable.
It was a disguise, of course. Fairies are easy to scare off, unless you're incognito.
And every trap needs bait. We brought honey and a glass of warm milk.
After 2 hours lying in wait, we noticed movement in the bushes. The fairies appeared at last.
No, it was just Isolde the pig. She was lured by the smell of honey and milk, and ate every last drop. Isolde belonged to Mr. Sim in Miner's End and escaped regularly. At least twice a month we would see him searching for her all over the island.
You know, I envy you, Sherry. You can talk to other people and they won't ignore you.
And I envy you. You can ignore any person you're bored with. You don't miss out on much. Most men are dull, unlike yourself.
Well, I'm flattered.
I had a surprise for my mother. I was holding an ancient Greek vase, or rather, quite a big piece of it. You had a shovel with you, John. I remember now. We dug up the vase from Greek ruins here on Cordona and were eager to show my mother right away. For some reason, the door was closed. We knocked.
But nobody answered. We thought that she was busy.
So we left the vase and ran downstairs. I decided to gather some archaeological tools in order to take a closer look at the vase.
But then we heard something, didn't we?
Yes. It came from upstairs.
The vase was broken, shards scattered all over the floor. And your mother was standing at the door.
Indeed, John. I doubt it was her. Let me concentrate. Otto Richter was standing there, furious at us. Dr. Richter told us never to disturb my mother when the door is closed. He said she had broken the vase.
But we didn't believe him. I bet he smashed it. Her things are still here.
Presumably Mycroft never felt the need to sort through it all.
Or couldn't bring himself to.
No. He would have put it behind him and moved on. My brother is not one for sentimentality. It's a strange feeling to read about my father's death in the newspaper. I can't recall anything except the deep feeling of loss.
You were too young. It happened before we even met. It's so sad. I'm sorry. Do you think the doctor could have used these tools here? I hope not.
No labels. I doubt it ever had one. There appear to be residues of the bottle's contents at the bottom. This picture was drawn by my mother. I recognize her hand. There's a date on it, 8th of December, 1868. This seems a bit odd. I can recognize my mother's style, but it's far too sloppy. Dated 12th of February, 1869. It's difficult to tell what this is meant to represent. There's no date at all. Seems this was the most frequently used medication. 1 dram dissolved in a glass of water, administered daily. Not to exceed 1 dose in 24 hours, not to be given to children.
Oh, I would love to take a bath right now.
Not this one. Surface corrosion suggests it was prone to extreme temperature fluctuations. For medical purposes, I suppose.
Look what I found. The White King is under attack. Sherry, can you save him and checkmate the opponent in 1 move? Oh, nice move. You saved the king and checkmated the Black King with the rook.
Looks like it was damaged by a blunt object. Oh, it brings back some memories. The broken plate shards were all over the floor. Mycroft had to change his suit as the one he was wearing was completely stained. Mother was troubled that morning. Something we did upset her. Dr. Richter tried to calm her down. We had to put the tray with Mother's morning tea down, but why? It's starting to ring a bell. I think it happened in the morning.
I don't believe you! Liars! Get away from me! It's not true! It's not real!
What? Oh.
Everything will be okay, Sherry. I promise.
It was the morning of the 9th of April, the day my mother died. My mother, she was not just ill, but mad. God have mercy.
I'm sorry. That explains why you locked the memory away.
There must be more, John. That was the morning of her death. I need to know what happened. John!
Every time you... I just don't... Please, Sherry, leave it be.
Just breathe, John. You know that I cannot leave the last stone unturned. We are so close.
I know. But can we at least leave it for another day?
Well, history tells us these memories are triggered by our investigation of other matters. I suspect it could not be forced even if I so desired.
Thank you. How are you feeling about all this? Tell me, I'm not the only one reeling.
It feels wrong, sad. Like they're the memories of another man. I'm struggling to reconcile my love for my mother with the reality of who she was. And worse, what possessed Mycroft to lie about it? There are precious few pieces of this puzzle remaining, John. Let us dawdle here no longer.
Indeed. Wait, did you hear that?
Yes. Metallic souls. What is this sailor doing here? With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
You can call me your new game. The rules are simple. I have something for you, but you alone must work out what that is.
And that something is my prize, I suppose?
You're a fast learner, sir.
cannot believe that Mr. Vogel has somehow successfully called my attention to his gallery. You're here with an invitation to visit it, obviously.
My word, you are fast, Mr. Holmes. Could you explain how you came to that conclusion?
Of course. Explanations are my favourite part of any conversation. Hands without any sign of regular physical activity, in contradiction to one who would most usually wear such a uniform. The paint in your hair is pink. I don't know of any military service that paints their ships pink, unless they have launched a new fashionable fleet. A sailor with the soul of an artist? I would suggest rather a gallery employee disguised as a sailor to mislead me. How many artists on the island know where I live and of my passion for deduction? Werner Vogel is clearly at the top of the list. And you've been attempting to conceal something square-shaped within your pocket. An invitation, I suppose. An invitation to Mr. Vogel's gallery.
That was remarkable, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Vogel was right about your genius. I think he may have even underestimated you. This is your invitation. Please tell Mr. Vogel that the seed has been planted. He asked me to tell you to do so, if you win this little game. Farewell.
Greetings. Would you be here about my violin by any chance?
I am. I saw from your posters that it was stolen. The name is Sherlock Holmes.
Very pleased to meet you, Mr. Holmes. I'm Anthony Jones. But by the sounds of it, you haven't seen my instrument, alas. But if there's anything you can do to help locate it, I'd be most glad.
Just tell me exactly what happened. How was your violin stolen?
Some needy soul broke into my home while I was out. The only thing of value they took was the instrument.
Did you report the theft to the police?
I did, but they dismissed it as petty theft. Don't get me wrong, I don't blame them. They certainly have more important matters to deal with.
It would be another crime if I let some petty thief get away with your beloved violin. Let me help you find it.
Oh, thank you very much. I cannot tell you how grateful I am. Come inside, I'll show you everything.
The door was kicked in. The thief left the bow. I suppose he prefers pizzicato. The scrap of fabric is covered in white stains. Clumsy of a thief to cut himself on the glass he just broke. The jagged bottle reeks of cheap whiskey. An utterly useless theft deterrent for a glass display case. Nothing was taken except for the violin. How odd. I see you've received many accolades.
Ah, those are from a long time ago. I used to perform a lot in my youth. Anything else you'd like to know?
You weren't here when the burglary happened, correct?
I was tending to my wife's grave at the cemetery. I was only gone a few hours and locked the door before leaving.
Does anyone else live here?
No. My dear Emily died long ago. And God never blessed us with children. I used to give music lessons, but nobody visits me anymore.
The trail stops here among the waste.
Hello, sir. Would you like some fruit? Fresh from the orchard?
I'm not hungry, but I'm looking for a violin that was stolen. Any chance you saw someone with one?
Oh, yes, I did. It was sailors, sir. And they were very good customers. They ate lots of fruit and said that my donkey looks like their friend. Lieutenant Sean.
A lieutenant. Did you see where they went?
No, sorry, sir. I was helping other buyers. Oh, and sir, the sailors also took my donkey. So I guess they weren't very good customers. They promised to return him, but they didn't come back. My father will kill me if he finds out. So I'm still waiting here for them.
Do you know Anthony Jones, the musician? He lives nearby.
Of course. Mr. Jones is very kind. He never barters. Funny you ask.
I'm yet to crack a smile, so pray tell.
Well, the first time they came by, the sailors mentioned something about music, so I told them Mr. Jones can teach them how to play. Wait, So what is his violin? Oh,
You couldn't have known they would steal from the old man. Fortunately, you made up for it with your testimony. I'll find them and your donkey soon enough. Stay put.
The donkey was being stubborn, but so were they.
There we are. The first lead in our asinine chase. This must be Lieutenant Sean. The sailors couldn't get him inside the tavern.
Don't forget to point the boy to his donkey on our way back.
Good grief, those drunks are wreaking havoc in there.
Well, they left me no choice. I think I might be nearing intoxication myself just from the smell of them. The maker's stamp suggests it was made by a student of Pressender. Quite a lovely instrument.
And somehow, after all the mayhem, it's still in one piece.
I found your donkey. It's not far from here, outside the Wet Whiskers Tavern. You'd better go after it before someone decides to borrow it again.
thank you, sir. I'll be quick as a flash. Hey, Yusuf, please look after my cart, okay? And don't eat anything. Well, you can have a couple of grapes, but only the small ones.
Well done. I look forward to the beautiful reunion.
Here's your violin, Mr. Jones. It might have gained a few nicks and scratches, but considering what it's been through, it's a miracle that it's still in one piece.
God bless you. I am deeply in your debt, Mr. Holmes. The scratches don't matter. They are like scars, each telling a story. It is the sound that matters. Oh, you should hear her sing.
It would be my pleasure.
This melody, Sherlock. Don't you recognize it? Look up, Sherry. There used to be an attic up there. We used to sneak in from the roof and listen to Mr. Jones play when we were children. You should tell the old man the truth. I think it will mean a lot to him.
Bravo. I'd forgotten how beautiful a violin sounds in the skilled hands of a virtuoso. That melody, it brought back some memories. I have a confession to make, Mr. Jones. As a child, I used to sneak into the attic above this very room and listen to you play. Spellbound by the music.
Oh, so that was you. After my wife's death, it was difficult to pick up the violin again. But knowing someone was listening helped me persevere. In fact, a young man like yourself could breathe a second life into this instrument. It's a remarkable outlet for one's emotion. You should have it.
I can't accept that. And, well, I don't play.
It's never too late to learn, Mr. Holmes. The way I see it, the violin chose you. Take good care of her.
Sherry, I'm really glad we helped him. Wow, things really got out of hand here.
Solid oak. It took quite a blow to break it. That's a lot of blood. The victim was stabbed several times. Sharp enough to gut a fish or a man. The lenses are very thick. The owner of these glasses is very nearsighted. Someone must have landed hard on it. Shards of a broken bottle with blood on them. It all started when the trader accidentally spilled his beer over the sailor. The trader punched the soldier who came crashing down on a table. The worker smashed a bottle over the trader's head, then the sailor knocked the worker out with a chair. The soldier is the real killer. He wanted to knife the trader but killed the sailor due to his poor eyesight. You have 3 people detained on suspicion of murdering a sailor in a bar fight. All evidence indicates that the soldier among them is the true killer. He was the last man standing.
Very well. Soldier or not, he'll get what he deserves. I'll see to it personally. Nice work. Try solving another case. It seems you have a knack for it.
Huh. Some loot has been left behind. Whoever took it must have been in a hurry.
Greed and booze got the better of them. No wonder it ended in violence.
2 bullets hit the cart. No traces of blood, though. Droplets of blood. Someone caught a bullet here. Perfectly balanced for throwing. The blade is very sharp. A brand new Colt, 45 caliber. The shooter fired 3 rounds. Bent glasses with cracked lenses. Pieces of brass tacks, piranha rounds. The man with the shotgun fired only 2 shots.
Seems he was too busy bleeding to reload.
The man with the shotgun was killed by a throwing knife to the neck, but not before firing at the man in glasses. The man in the hat took a bullet to his leg, but 2 other bullets missed. The report mentioned he was shot in the heart, but how? There's something I'm missing here. Who could have finished him off? A police boot print. So that's how it ended. I visited the location where the 3 robbers killed each other over some stolen loot, but I wasn't the first to inspect the scene, was I?
No. Officer Schmidt arrived there first, just hours after it was reported. Poor Schmidt. That same day, he received news that his dear old grandmother in Austria had died. He had to leave for the funeral immediately.
He is anything but poor. I doubt he'll be coming back. It was he who killed the last robber and took the loot for himself.
Blast it. I knew he was acting suspiciously. He may be beyond our reach now, but I'll be sure to expose the little weasel when I write my report. Nice work. Feel free to take another case. We make a great team, you and I.
This is a somewhat neglected and dusty hat. The stone is rather unwieldy, so it couldn't be used as a weapon. Someone fell and hit their head on it.
We're dealing with a very immoderate bloodsucker here.
Looks like a set of surgical instruments. One is missing. The label is illegible.
Nicely roasted.
I wonder how even the most destitute always somehow manage to scrape together enough for a drink. Psilocybin mushrooms. These are powerful hallucinogens. An expensive hat with a few grey hairs stuck to the brim. Someone tore their trousers here. The blade is bent from the impact. The bleeding wasn't severe, there are just a few drops. The brother of the deceased became furious when he caught the anatomist exhuming his sister's body. He killed him with a shovel. The graveyard keeper took to his heels, but didn't get far. He fell, hitting his head on a stone, which rendered him unconscious. With the murderer gone, the reporter who was hiding punctured the neck of the first victim to imitate a bite. But when he did the same to the second victim, he killed an unconscious man. So we have 2 murders and 2 murderers, but no vampires.
Vampires are not so scary when you have grave robbers and journalists running around.
Constable Stark, do you believe in vampires?
Hey? What do vampires have to do with anything?
Oh, that's exactly what I thought while looking into the murders at the cemetery. The primary suspect is indeed the murderer, but he's not the only one. The reporter, who so easily fooled everyone with his vampire stories, killed the other victim.
But why would he do that?
He believed the unconscious man to be dead and decided to concoct a thrilling story for his readers.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Holmes. I'll have the conniving little scrub taken in immediately. There's only one case left. Don't let me stop you.